pretty simple. I win.
Hello, guys, and welcome to Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor. Thank you for being here this morning. So we got the football schedule out to talk about, and we got a big recruit for the basketball team. Manhertz coming in. Almost said Moody, but I'm liking the way that Darren DeVries. No, I'm not going to show clips of a recruit coming in, but this dude, long and lean, we're going to just kind of talk about what he can provide for the Hoosiers. He's a reclassification, so I never like to see that. I always think of Christian Lander, and we're going to talk about the Indiana football schedule because it's out, and I don't remember a time where I was ever this excited about Indiana's football schedule, and we'll talk about the odds. What odds are to win the national championship? Because is Indiana getting disrespected? What are the sports books saying? I just have the preliminary odds of what we see there. And we'll talk about that all on this episode. But if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button down below. Turn that black subscribe button white and hit that thumbs up button. And hit your bell notifications also if you want these live videos coming to your phone. So, or your TV or wherever you're watching these videos. I appreciate it. This is Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron, and let's get right into it. The schedule came out, and let's just take a look at it here. So we start out North Texas. We know that they're a big upset team in the basketball world. Seems like, yeah, they beat Purdue, a few years ago? Is that what I'm remembering? Week 2, it's going to be Bison on Bison action. It's going to be the battle of the Bisons or Bison, whatever you prefer, but Howard, September 12th, and then Indiana playing Western Kentucky on September 19th. So we got our pretty normal first 3 really weak teams that we can get started with. And then we get into the Big Ten schedule. So this is Northwestern at home. So, and I believe their new stadium opens next year. I don't know if you've seen the stadium that Northwestern is building. They're building like a $1 billion stadium that's going to hold 35,000 people. You should check it out because that's going to be amazing place. Be a great place for Indiana fans to go to when they play Northwestern because we all know how they love the Chicago games. Thank you so much for everybody for being here. And we're going to talk about the basketball team in 1 second because I see your comment here about them going on a heater. I completely agree. But then play Northwestern. I'll tell you overall what I like about this schedule is how the games kind of get ramped up equally of importance and difficulty as you go along week to week. Because at Rutgers, we know now, and most people know, I lived in New Jersey for some time, and what's happening at Rutgers with all the money they have lost. I don't know if you've been following this story, but it does not surprise me at all. New Jersey is not one of the most, I think it's the most corrupt state I've ever lived in. Just anywhere where people are getting money, mayors, there are like all these small towns there that seemingly defraud money from all different directions. So what's happening at Rutgers? So Indiana plays Rutgers there, and we all know what the train wreck they are. But I'm always surprised at how terrible Rutgers is because New Jersey has one of the best football cultures, like high school football cultures. If you know Don Bosco, if you know Bergen Catholic, I'm always surprised Rutgers is terrible. I mean, they are one. They should be a better team because they have fertile recruiting ground there. Then you go to play Nebraska. We know Nebraska doesn't have that Raiola anymore, and but Matt Rule's still there. And then you got week 7 at Memorial Stadium. That is going to be the biggest game of the year, obviously, and of this schedule is playing Ohio State at home. They're going to try to buy up all the tickets. We got to show up to this game more than any other because that game is going to be huge. It is just going to be, that's That's one to circle the game of the year for the Hoosiers playing at home against Ohio State. You gotta pack the rock. You gotta do everything you can. That's gonna be a crazy game. And this kind of it's kind of weird how this plays out. They play Ohio State and Michigan back to back, which they did last year. They played Michigan at home and then at Ohio State. This year, 2 years later, it's flipped. And then you go to Halloween. I don't know if that's a night game, but Halloween, Minnesota at home. That should be a very interesting game at Memorial Stadium after you play Michigan. Then you got the bye week 10. Then you're moving on to USC on November 14th, Washington and Purdue down the stretch. So what do you think of the Hoosiers? And they are getting respect. Let's bring it up. I was going to do a poll question like the Dan Patrick show. Where do you think the IU, where would you think they would be? I was surprised they were so high on this list. We got Ohio State a plus 600 to 650. These are ballparks. They're using a few different sports books on AI here to make these approximate positions here. But Notre Dame getting a lot of respect at plus 700. Texas, with Arch Manning and everything they did last year, coming in at 700 to 750, and the Hoosiers at 700 to 800 there. They are in the ballpark with all the other teams. So IU getting a lot of respect in some of the early, and we know the guys they brought in the portal. Can Cignetti keep this going into this third year? It's going to be a paramount year, and I think he's got the horses to do it and the schedule to do it. And I really do think that Cignetti is going to have this team in the college football playoff for a third year. I don't think he's going to rest easily. I think he finds the challenge that where he's at now with winning the national championship. I just don't think he's a guy that's going to rest on anything. And it's year 3. Buckle up for year 3. But because Indiana football, it's when is the point after this season? It's like, when is the point after this next season where we will just start to feel like we're gonna be this type of football team as long as Curt Cignetti's there? So, I mean, I think we're gonna have still a big chip on our shoulder type of team, even next year coming in, because we'll see how the pundits and everything, they'll go back to their old ways of picking against IU maybe at some point in the season. And if you've been watching my videos, Nick Saban, he's not been picking IU. Somebody left me a comment that said that Nick Saban did pick IU. I would like to find, because I've Googled that and tried to find it. Did he pick IU? I don't know which game he did, because I could not find the clip of it. But Skull here. Notre Dame, never quite sure what to think about them. Kind of an oddball situation. That's so true. And I don't understand why Notre Dame's being shown so high with is it because they had a jump start at the transfer portal? Notre Dame's got to develop quarterbacks better. That's the one area where I am always disappointed with the guys that get to play quarterback, even like Ian Book, maybe probably one of the best Notre Dame quarterbacks they've had. He was just not that great. You could tell his limitations because of his size. But all right, in the Hoosiers, we got Trevor Manhertz coming to Indiana, not out of the transfer portal. This is a high school recruit, and just watching, and I'm not going to bore you with these AAU videos because I don't really know how much you can really take out of AAU videos, but this dude, he's long and lanky, and he can seemingly just get to the basket, dunks, he's a left-hander. So he's got a really decent outside shot in these AAU games. He's knocking down shots, dunking on people in the lane, and he's a reclassification. So a guy who's maybe going to be a little bit young coming in, but with him and Prince Alexander Moody coming into the Hoosiers next year, Darren DeVries, we see he's getting dudes. He's getting dudes that'll be there with Trent Sisley because this basketball team, it's going to be almost entirely new next year. But let's talk about the team because I do think that they are primed to turn things around. I think there are just so many positive things. Cignetti going to the game a couple of nights ago, them getting that big victory at home against Purdue. Maybe I am the one who, and I'm like Nick Saban in this way, where I disparage the West Coast teams because I don't think playing at UCLA is going to be a tough game. But I was watching USC last night. They get up last night against, and this is my rant against USC. I mean, they get up on Iowa early in that game, and I should probably look at the final score of this. But USC, they uh they get up on Iowa early in the game last night, and then just could not score after that stretch. Okay, Iowa ends up winning the game 72-73 by 1 point, but it was really a game of runs because USC for a long stretch of that game looked like complete garbage. And I was watching that game, to see more arenas is on this team, and who is going to be the good players for USC. Um, but definitely USC, they're not a juggernaut at all. So, um, can Indiana beat UCLA and USC on the road? And yeah, I'm biased against the atmospheres there. Now, I would love to go to Pauley Pavilion at some time. And he is a dude I forgot to talk about a ton in the video I made yesterday is Nick Dorn, because Nick Dorn is going nuts. And we've had, Connerway not starting in these past couple of games has shown a little different dynamic on this team. Enright getting some, he has kind of slowly come along as being able to score a little bit more and being able to be counted on in some big positions. Is that like a work in progress for this? Rockmaster, I like your 11-1 at worst. Yes, I think that Ohio State game at home, that is going to be our hardest game by far. But yeah, Indiana definitely primed to make another college football playoff. But the transitioning, going back to the basketball team, I do think that this basketball team is in the position they're in right now. They really have it all right in front of them. 10 games into the Big Ten season. You got tough games coming up, especially after you get back home. You're going to have some tough games, but can they go on a heater? I think they're going to do it. I think DeVries maybe has found something here with Dorn and Enright, and maybe they're able to play a little bit different way. And maybe they got the foul problems under control a little bit because we've not seen that be as big of an issue in some of the games. It's just the dynamic changes so much more when you have more scorers on the floor. And we've not been able to see teams really key in on Tucker DeVries initially and Lamar Wilkerson. Wilkerson seems to get his points no matter what happens. Even the last game, it didn't seem like he was on big time, that he didn't really have to be on to score 20 points. He just seems to be able to get his points. But Tucker DeVries has kind of come out of that shooting slump. And then we talk about it. Enright, Dorn, those guys getting some more points. Even Reed Bailey showing that he could score in that last game. I think this Indiana team has found something. And the dude I watch that has watched a ton of Darren DeVries games, who I watch on Sleepers, he's always saying how DeVries is going to be a magician, how he's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat. I think we're starting to see a little bit of that. The last 10 games of this year, Darren DeVries, he has got to pull the right levers and get this team to the tournament. And I know there are tons of people, leave your comments down below, like that are cautiously optimistic about Indiana basketball, but we got nothing else to watch the rest of the year. I have to be optimistic about Indiana basketball. There's no reason really not to be. And let's just take a look at the schedule down the stretch here of what we're gonna have the last 10 games. Because I was looking at it last night. Indiana Hoosiers. And I normally don't do these episodes early in the morning. So thank you for bearing with me here, because Here we go. We got a kind of a weird start. UCLA, Saturday, and then Tuesday at USC. You know what? I'm thinking this. You get out there, you get these guys out there in a little bit of warm weather, you're gonna be rejuvenated. It's like 0 degrees here right now. So get out there, get yourself some of that vitamin D, rejuvenate yourself. Don't go out there and party. Don't do anything stupid. I wouldn't expect that these guys and Darren DeVries that they're gonna do that, but rejuvenate yourself out there because Wisconsin back at home on February 7th. That's gonna be a game at 12 noon, uh, at Indiana because Wisconsin is good. Wisconsin is really good. And then we got Oregon at home. So, if you can go out there, even if you can split those games out there and come back home and take care of business, because if you can beat Wisconsin at home and you can beat Oregon at home, suddenly you can start to stack some. You have 4 quad one victories if we're just going through this exercise together. If you can do this, Indiana, Oregon is tough. We know that Oregon has a really tough coach, and they have Biddle still, and they have some of their guys back from last year. So we know that Oregon's tough. Then at Illinois, that is going to be a tough game, but still a big opportunity at Illinois and at Purdue. Those are going to be two. Like, can you somehow muster one victory on the road out of those games? Like that, those types of games will get you into the tournament late in the season. I mean, really, what you're looking for Indiana is getting to 11-9, and you can get into the tournament at 11-9, and then maybe getting yourself a victory in the Big Ten tournament is what will seal it. So Indiana down the stretch, and then our last 3 games. I mean, Ohio State, our last game, Minnesota at home, the game before the last, and then Michigan State at home and Northwestern at home. So Indiana's definitely got a path that they can get into the tournament for this basketball team. It's going to take beating a few teams that you weren't supposed to beat, but you've lost games that you were supposed to win. You were favored against Nebraska at home, and you were favored against Iowa at home, and you lost those games. So now you got to do something and win a game. Maybe the crowds will get better through now that the football team is done. That's all it takes. Like, some of these games are going to be big games at home. Michigan State will be a game that's hopefully sold out at home. So we get the big crowds at home. Can Indiana get over the hump there? Dare I say, Mike Woodson, get over the hump in these home games because you got to protect home court. Sharon says, I agree. The more we play together and be healthy, the better the teams are gonna get. I believe we get better with every game. Absolutely. Yes. Um, I think this team they're finding a gear here, and we can't underestimate how important that is, especially for these mid-major guys. That last game, some of those dudes, even Reed Bailey, just playing against Purdue and getting a little more confidence in that game. Uh, Maybe he's a new Reed Bailey going forward. Yeah, Dorn now just fully healthy. We get Conaway back from his ankle. Will even be more formidable. Yes, and that also has to give him confidence. Winning that game against Purdue without Conaway. Now, I mean, I would love to see a world where I don't know where we start one point guard and one point guard comes off the bench. That way, Enright doesn't have to play the entire game, but Conaway coming in and to me, Conaway can be off the bench a great change of pace guy. We saw when he came off the bench against that was like 2 games ago. When he came off the bench against Rutgers, he scored 6 points, but he was like the change of pace guy where Indiana went from the perimeter passing team to, okay, we'll bring a guy off the bench and he just drives right around everybody and is able to do that. I also noticed like we have better driving lanes, I believe, with less like when you have Connerway and Enright on the floor, and this is what happened when Mike Woodson would play certain players together. Both of those guys are not really a threat to shoot. The scouting report and you know, Purdue did not want to leave Connor Enright wide open. I listened to the press conference with Matt Painter. Like Purdue, they left Connor Enright wide open, and he's like, you can't do that against them. But that's what kind of happens when the scouting report is so heavy on guard DeVries and Wilkerson around the perimeter. Occasionally, Enright or Conaway, they just get wide open. But to me, Indiana is a more dangerous team when you have, okay, Dorn, Wilkerson, and DeVries running the perimeter, because you don't know of Dorn, those three, who's setting the screen and who's coming off of the screen. You just add that other playmaker in there. That is what, and hopefully, and there's no easy way to do this without just taking Conaway out of the game or taking Enright out of the game and having that be, or having a completely smaller lineup. That's the other thing. If you go back, and I didn't want to bore you with Matt Painter talking, but you go back and listen to Matt Painter talking, is how he really had to adjust with Club and Danielson and the guys they have down low to to guard Indiana and Reed Bailey and Sam Alexis, because they're running two bigger guys out there, and they can't have like Trey Kaufman ran, and they can't have three guys running guys on the perimeter. So making another team adjust to what Indiana's doing, that's the secret sauce for this Darren DeVries team, for the system to work. It's making them adjust to you, being able to get enough perimeter shots that they have to adjust their game plans to what Indiana's doing on offense. That changes the game for Indiana when they can do that. And I believe that having Nick Dorn out there does add just that other dynamic shooter. So thank you so much for everybody for showing up today. I hope you didn't find my ramblings too long here, but it is a great time to be an Indiana fan. I mean, the football schedule coming out. There's never been a more hype time to be an Indiana football fan, and we're actually talking about the schedule. We're actually probably going to have a spring game that's going to be like the spring games at Notre Dame and Ohio State, where we have like that big time support for Indiana football in the spring game. And yeah, that'll be coming up here in probably like April, right? So, and Curt Cignetti made it, a thing of himself to make the spring game a big deal. I went to the first one last year and it was great. So yeah, be looking out for that. And then how the Hoosiers are going to finish this season in basketball. I have high hopes. I do think, I believe in sharing up. This team is going to go on a heater. I can't find your comment, but thank you so much. Leave your comments down below. I respond to all the comments on this channel, and videos have been blowing up on here. So I appreciate the hell out of all of you for being here. And yeah, Conaway is our best playmaker. That's why, I mean, I love what Conaway is able to do, how he's able to drive, how he's able to, he can shoot a little bit more, maybe has a little more confidence shooting from the outside, but yeah, but Enright is more physical. It's like you get in basketball where it's like you need one guy to do two jobs sometimes, So yeah, you're in between like a rock and a hard place. Enright is, they're somewhat the same on assist rate, but I feel like Enright has a better feel for who has the hot hand. I feel like he has a better feel for what guys to go to and what spots. And I just think as a quarterback type player, I think Enright does have a little bit better feel there for who to hunt for assists and who to get their shots. And you hear DeVries talk about him in that role all the time for the Hoosiers, of being that quarterback type player. But this Hoosier basketball team is developing, and then we're having Josiah Miles come off the bench for some good minutes. This dude is really putting in some good minutes there too, and kind of taking Trent Sicily's spot, who we've not seen play as much, but we still want to see him get his minutes too. And but maybe hit that freshman wall. You just never know what happens with guys, but we'll be talking about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Until next time, stay classy out there, Hoosier fans.